Before we begin, step into the unknown. If you enjoy mysteries, legends, and the unexplained, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And now, let's begin our journey down the Silk Road. Green, their origins unknown, a mystery that has baffled historians for centuries. But not all legends are dark. Not all creatures lurk in the shadows. Deep in the Scottish Highlands, there is said to be a creature, part man, part wolf, not a monster, but a guardian, a being that watches and helps. Tonight, we explore two legends, one of mystery, one of kindness. Welcome to Echoes of the Silk Road. The Children of Woolpit. A quiet village, a warm summer day, and two children appearing from nowhere. Their clothes, unlike anything anyone had ever seen. Their language, completely unrecognizable. But the most unsettling thing, their skin was green. For centuries, this story has defied explanation. Who were these children? Where did they come from? And why, after all these years, do we still have no answers? Tonight, we step into the unknown. This is the legend of the green children of Woolpit. To understand this mystery, we have to go back to the 12th century, a time before technology, before global travel, when the world was still full of the unexplained. Woolpit was a small village in Suffolk, in England. It was peaceful, predictable, a place of rolling hills and endless fields, where farmers worked the land as their ancestors had for generations. And in this village, there were pits, deep trenches, originally dug to catch wolves, hence the name, Woolpit. Over time, people forgot about them, but on one fateful day, a discovery was made that no one would ever forget. It started like any other day, farmers tending their crops, when suddenly, a noise. Faint at first, a sound carried on the wind, but unmistakably human. They followed it toward one of the old pits, and when they looked inside, they saw them. A boy and a girl huddled together at the bottom of the trench, eyes wide, trembling, their faces filled with fear. At first, the farmers assumed they were lost, abandoned children, but then they noticed something that made their blood run cold. The children's skin was green. Not just pale, not sickly, but an unnatural shade, a deep, strange green, like nothing the villagers had ever seen before. And their clothes, made of a material that no one recognized. It wasn't wool, it wasn't linen, it was something otherworldly. And when the villagers spoke to them, the children only looked at them, confused, their language completely unintelligible. Where had they come from? And how had they ended up here? The villagers took them in, unsure of what to do. They brought them before Sir Richard de Calney, a wealthy landowner, and tried to feed them. But the children refused everything. No bread, no meat, no milk. Every time food was placed in front of them, they turned away, even scoffed at it. It was very peculiar. So days had passed, and they grew weaker. And then finally, they found something the children actually would eat. And to everyone's surprise, it was beans. Raw, straight from the stalk. They devoured them like they had never even seen food before. Over time, they adjusted. The girl began learning English. Their green skin faded. But the boy, he grew weaker. And then he was gone. Only the girl remained. And when she finally spoke, she told a story that no one could believe. She said they came from a place called St. Martin's Land, a world where the sun never shone brightly, where everything was bathed in soft twilight, and a greenish glow filled the air. She spoke of a great river, and beyond it, a world of dazzling light, a place they had never dared to go. One day, while tending their father's flock, she and her brother heard something, a sound unlike anything they had ever heard before. It came from beneath them, a hum, a whisper, a bell-like chime resonating through the air. They followed it, step by step, through a cave, deeper and deeper inside, until suddenly, a blinding light. And when they stepped out, they were here, in a world too bright, too loud, too unfamiliar. They didn't have any way back. So, what does this mean? Who or what were these children? Some believe they came from an ancient race, hidden deep beneath the earth. Legends of underground worlds exist in countless cultures. The Agartha myth, the hollow earth theory. Could St. Martin's Land be real, buried beneath us? Or did they sleep through some type of parallel dimension? A doorway between realities? Or did they slip through something even stranger? A doorway between realities? A place that exists alongside our own, but is hidden from view. Others say the answer is simpler, that the children were orphans, suffering from malnutrition, a condition called hyperchromic anemia, which can cause a greenish tint to the skin. And then there's, of course, the most outlandish theory of all. What if they weren't from beneath us at all? Some believe the green children were extraterrestrial. Their strange diet, their unknown language, their description of a world unlike ours. Could they have been from another planet? And if so, were they the first? The girl grew older. She lived among the people of Woolpit. Some say she even married. But one thing never changed. She never stopped insisting that her story was true. So, what is the truth? a lost civilization, a parallel world, or something even stranger. Perhaps St. Martin's Land still exists, waiting to be found. The Benevolent Wulver, Scotland's silent guardian. Not all legends are meant to frighten. Legends have power. They survive across centuries, across cultures. Some are warnings of creatures that lurk in the dark, of spirits that demand blood, of monsters that wait just beyond the firelight. But not all legends are meant to frighten. Some are meant to remind us that even in the darkest places, there is light. Tonight, we journey to the misty highlands of Scotland, to a land where ancient ruins whisper secrets of the past, where the wind howls like a forgotten spirit, and where, hidden among the rolling hills, a creature walks, unseen by most. A being with the body of a man, but the head of a wolf. A creature not of rage nor vengeance, but a quiet kindness. This is the legend of the Benevolent Wulver. To understand the Wulver, you must first understand its home, the Scottish Highlands, a place where time moves differently, where the land itself feels alive. Towering cliffs rise over endless green valleys. The sky stretches wide, shifting between golden sunlight and storm-filled darkness in mere moments. And beneath it all, ancient ruins crumble into the earth, silent reminders of lives long forgotten. It is a place of spirits, of old gods and restless ghosts, where myths are more than just stories. They are warnings passed down through generations. And in these lands, there is one tale that stands apart. Not a tale of horror, but a tale of hope. Unlike the werewolves of folklore, the Wulver is not a curse. It does not shift beneath the light of the full moon. It does not hunt men, nor spill blood. It is something else entirely. A being with the body of a strong man, but the head of a wolf. Its amber eyes filled not with hunger, but something deeper. They say the Wulver does not attack, does not seek battle or vengeance. Instead, it watches. It walks the highlands in silence, unseen by those who do not need it. But for those who are lost, those who are starving, those who have nowhere left to turn, the Wulver appears, not as a monster, but as a guardian. The first recorded mention of the Wulver comes from the Shetland Islands, where tales of its kindness have passed through generations. Some say it still lingers, its presence felt in the shifting mist. The first tale of this is the Starving Widow. One of the most famous stories tells of a widow living alone with her 2 young children. Winter had come, fierce and unrelenting. Food was scarce. The cold was merciless. Each night, she lie awake, stomach empty, listening to the wind rattle against the walls. Her children grew weaker by the day. There was nothing left, no way to survive. And then, one morning, she opened her door, and there, placed carefully on the frozen stone, were fish, freshly caught, their silver scales glistening in the dim morning light. No footprints, no sign of who had left them, only the fish, and the knowledge that somewhere out in the wilderness, something had been watching. Something had cared. Another tale of this brings us to The Lost Traveler, another story that speaks of a man lost in the highlands. A sudden storm swallowed the sky, turning day into night. Snow fell in thick sheets, burying the path beneath his feet. The cold wrapped around him like a vice, slowing his limbs, his thoughts even. He wandered for what had to have been hours. His breath came in ragged gasps. His vision blurred, and then he saw it. A shadow, moving just beyond the edge of his vision. At first, he thought it was a wolf. He reached for his knife, heart pounding, but the figure did not attack. It did not move closer. Instead, it walked, slowly, steadily, a few steps ahead, never too far, and without knowing why, the man followed, step by step, through the storm until suddenly the wind broke, the snow thinned, and before him stood his village, safe and warm against the cold. When he turned to look back to see his silent guide, the shadow was gone. Now, let's take a moment to think about, what is the Wulver? Could the Wulver be a guardian spirit? Some believe the Wulver is not a physical creature at all, but a guardian spirit instead, a force of nature, neither good nor evil, but simply watching. Could the Wulver be a lost species? Maybe it was once real, a hidden species now extinct, surviving only in whispers and campfire stories. Or maybe the Wulver was never a creature at all. Maybe it was a stranger, a kind soul, leaving food for those in need. A man misunderstood who became legend. Maybe the Wulver is not a wolf-headed being. Maybe the Wulver is a reminder. Most legends are born from fear, but the Wulver is something else entirely. A silent guardian, a quiet kindness, a myth maybe, but one we should hope to be true. And maybe, just maybe, somewhere in the misty highlands of Scotland, the Wulver still walks, waiting, watching, helping.